as a media service provider, I'm using the examples from the 2017 Taipei Summer Universiade. That's one of the biggest tournaments here ever to be held in Taiwan. It was a huge thing back in 2017. And I was in the media service department, and I was helped to run the MPC, the Main Press Center. So I'm actually wanted to share some of my experiences from those times, because we have achieved a lot of things, but we also have failed quite many stuff right there. So I believe that it would be a very good opportunity for us to show you, for everybody out there who is listening to the courses, to learn from our failures and to try to be successful in the future. Well, as many of you would know that MPC, which is the Main Press Center in all these kind of big tournaments, opens 24 hours. Well, I'm not saying that I stayed there for 24 hours for the entire span of the university, but I do remember that I was spending probably like 19 or 20 hours per day in the Main Press Center. And for us to do, one of the most things is that is the place to provide the working space for all the media. We were able to host more than 1,000 media members there. Well, they come and go. We don't have that many seats there in the MPC, but however, we did issue more than 1,000 credentials. We were able to host probably 400 to 500 media for them to sit down and work. But usually they are somewhere down in the venue and here and there. But that is the main function of the MPC. And of course, we talk about the AD Credential Center, and that is the first stop for all the media. No matter if you are the foreign media or you're local media, you need to come to AD Center in MPC to start your journey of covering the university. So for most of the foreign press, after they arrive at the airport here in Taiwan, no matter they come from the big airport or small airport, they will be picked up and then they'll be dropped off directly right there at the AD Center of MPC, because you can go anywhere. You can go to a lot of places with your credentials, and you're basically going nowhere without a credential. At the same time, the MPC serves as a public relation and media hub. At the same time, it is also served as a transportation hub. Well, you may feel a little bit interesting to feel like, what does transportation hub to do with MPC? But since the MPC was housed in the very large warehouse, which has a very long transportation bay on the side, so the transportation hub was also designated right at the MPC, as we have so many buses running from the morning until the very late night. We have some interesting story on that later. And all the buses, all the shuttle buses, no matter they are for the staff or for the media, they all started and ended and where the MPC is. And of course, the FISU have a very good and strong young reporters program, where they are also using MPC as their classrooms to try to produce their own publication and try to learn a lot of things, as they have a few mentors to teach them to go on in MPC. And of course, there are other functions for MPC. We have a daily presser to host every morning around 10 o'clock. So that is probably 15 or 16 days consecutively, we're running the presser every morning. And also we have daily publication, which in MPC we have a team of reporters and also the photographers that will cover the entire game, and then we'll have the editing meeting probably in the earlier afternoon to try to figure out what kind of things will go on the publication for tomorrow's issue. And of course, we do the coordination works between the SPC and the IBC, the International Broadcasting Center. Well, ideally, it will be a very good situation for the MPC and IBC to sit together in one big building, but however, that can't always be the case. So this time, the IBC was in one of the television outlet affiliate, and while the MPC is quite close from where the IBC is. And of course, the MPC is also responsible for the heritage programs. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the episode. But along with the AD center, the working space, and the thing we talked about in the previous slide, that's probably everything MPC has to do, as those are the functions for the university. And for so many things to do, we actually divided our task groups to 9 of them. Well, the first 3 is the language services and general services and the internet services. And as we are having so many different foreign press from all different countries, language services is one of the quite important things. And we were supported by the OC, the organizing committee, as they sent us a lot of great interpreters to help us to communicate with some of the foreign press. Like for myself, I can only speak English and Japanese, so I will have a very tough time when I try to communicate with the Russian reporter, but we do have a lot of great interpreters on the site. The internet service actually is one of the most important things nowadays in all kinds of, well, not just say the event, but in all kinds of lives. And we are actually having a very difficult thing on that, as we will be talking about that later, but that's part of our services. And information desk, that's the one that is always the busiest. And now we have the information desk, news task group, and official media. The information desk is probably the busiest department in the MPC, because no matter how long you have been staying in MPC, from even you are here from the very first day, you're still going to have a lot of questions to ask regarding the schedule change, or a lot of the decision making, and a lot of announcement here and there. So they are having they are the busiest group in MPC, and they are also having a very tough job as well. And also we have the news task group, and to go along with the official media, as they are the one who publish the daily reports and other news as well. And of course, we have the food supplies. That was probably one of the most pleasant parts in MPC. Well, we don't have the hot food there, but we have a lot of the instant noodles and everything like that. So for all the press who's working late here, and some of them could be really late. I do remember saying goodbye to one of the reporters around like 2:30 in the midnight, after he had a couple of instant noodles. So we have some supplies there for the media, and of course we have the corresponding group with SPC and IBC as well. And of course the medical and the emergency is always there, because we need to provide the related service as well. Well, the thing that is not on here is that we also have a police force on the site, as they are able to help us with so many different things as well. So that's the task group for the MPC, as we're trying to run all those different kind of jobs there. Well, let's take a look at how the layout is for the MPC. The AD center is here, so everybody actually have to come here first when they come in here without the credential. So after they get a credential from here, they can come in from here, they can come from there, and there's security checks. There's a security check zone as well. And so we have the information desk here, as I mentioned, the busiest place day in and day out, and the press working area here, and the photo working area here. But that's just by the design, but nobody really, would be sitting at where they are designated at. So they're just, picking all the seats they can to work there. And we have, that's where my office is. So a small office. But look at that, we have a police department right next to my office. So we work very close as well. And the medical room is right there. And next to the AD center, we have the newsroom, as we were saying, that we have the daily presser every morning around 10 o'clock. So we are doing all the activities here. And we have a volunteers lounge here, but we also have a prayer room here. That was not in the requirement when we were told by the official as the requirement of the MPC, but I felt like it was very necessary for us to put a prayer room in there. So although it's kind of small, but we try to fulfill the needs for press from different countries with different religious needs. So then we have the OC office and the FISUF office. That's probably everything here we have. And you see the blue dots here? They're all the copy machines. So we have so many copy machines. And we also have a lot of TVs on the side. I'll show you some pictures on that. And that is the press working area, as we have so many copy machines here. And my office is right there. As you can see that the wall of the MPC is actually not the real wall of the building, as this is has been designated as a landmark building, so we're not able to touch everything of the structure side. So you can't really have your construction or renovation of the MPC touching the real wall. You can't hang everything. You can't hang anything from the raft of the building. So we are in a historical building. So that actually kind of brought some limits as we would like to have more liberty to use the building. But nonetheless, it was a great building and it was a huge building. We actually have 2 of these space as our MPC. And that's the AD Center. That was before everybody was there. And that's the press room that we have the daily presser every day. And that's the lounge area. I took these pictures before before the MPC was open, so you don't really see anything on top of it. But while we were running the office during the university, there was so much food. You can see the refrigerator there and the freezer there. There was so much food on top of the shelves. And we have a special massage area for the press. Well, later we found out a lot of press people who really like to sit on the massage chair and then do their typing at the same time. So, there was the amenities that we have for the MPC, but as we were saying earlier, that we are actually in this episode trying to tell everybody, to share everybody with our idea of treating the media as one of our targeted audience, as we are trying to run the sports marketing. So we saw this slide before, so I just want to emphasize that again. Just know when you are doing these things like that, as we are the media service provider, you just don't try to treat them, the media, just like the regular media you think that you treat them before. So they are here to participate the events too. So media service in sporting events is equals to sports marketing. And that is the idea I would like to share with everybody right now, because I really don't see that popping out here and there in the past. And if you can provide satisfying media services, and that would also equals to a successful sports marketing. Yeah, and of course, I just want to mention it again that you are looking at this episode as you are a media service provider, and you are looking at the media people as your targeted audience in the field of sports marketing. So what kind of media service do you provide to the media people to try to satisfy or try to help them to the most as they are trying to do their job? So a lot of information that you need to give is the tournament and related information. And that is, I don't have to elaborate anymore. That's the main purpose for the media people to come here to work on. And the number 2, the transportation and accommodation, that I said it earlier, that we actually had a very tough time as far as the transportation was concerned, because during the period of the university, we did need a lot of transportation as far as the bus drivers, all the buses were concerned. And because of the large volume of the buses we need, and also the buses drivers that we need, a lot of drivers who were not working in the area, as we know that the summer university was held in Taipei, but however, in that time, a lot of drivers, and the buses drivers were actually, they were from the southern part of Taiwan or the central part of Taiwan. They weren't that familiar with the roads in Taipei. And Taipei, by being the busiest city in Taiwan, developed so early, and the streets are smaller, and as they have to go to a lot of narrow streets, and they also have to go to other cities nearby. It really gave the drivers who's not from the area a lot of challenges. And that challenges actually sometimes became the nightmare of the press people, because I do remember one of the press people from Pakistan. He actually returned to the NPC around 2 o'clock as I was ready to leave to go home. I'm talking about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was very surprised to see him showing up so late. I thought he's coming to NPC to do some work, but he looked so tired, so I went to ask him what was going on. And it turned out that he spent like 6 hours trying to get back from Taipei, trying to back from NPC, from a city which is like maybe 15 minutes away from Taipei. And one of the reasons were, there are so many complicated reasons. He was not able to find the shuttle bus because the pickup location and the drop-off location was different. So as he finished his coverage on the night, he went back to the drop-off location and he waited for maybe an hour or so that he couldn't get anything, because if you don't know that if he would know that that's not the pickup location, then he would never go there. And that since that is not the pickup location, you'll never see another bus going there, especially in those late nights, nobody will be dropped off again. So it took him more than an hour to wait there. Then finally he was find out that there will be no bus coming in. Then he went back to the building to try to get some help. But by then there are only few people in the building, because most of the people are gone after they gone cleaning the buildings and then try to prepare the building for the next day. So he managed to find the pickup location of the shuttle bus after, I don't know, maybe 3 hours or something later. And then he also couldn't get the bus until another maybe 30 or 40 minutes, something like that. But after he was able to get on the bus, another thing happened that caused him to, not being able to come back to the NPC earlier, because the drivers got lost. And the driver was not from the area, so it took him a very long time to try to figure out how to get out of the area and try to get back to Taipei. So that was one of the things that we were actually putting into the review the next morning, that we were trying to do our best to try to solve the problems, although NPC is not the one who's responsible for these kind of tasks. But since it affects the being of the reporters, it affects his coverage experiences, I feel like it was a very important thing for us to step in to try to figure what can we do to bring a better coverage experience to them, as that is also part of the sports marketing, as we are targeting these media people as our targeted audience. And also the service also include the NPC and VMC, the venue media center, those different kind of service, but mostly related to the tournament. And for the miscellaneous, well, there were big things and small things. The media was trying to get some food, trying to go to some restaurant, those kind of little things. And those are the easier ones for us to provide as far as the service is concerned. But I believe that what I would like to share with everybody out there with you is that the key point and the focus will be, while you are trying to render this media service to the media members, just try to put yourself in his or her shoes. Well, this can go along with many, many different kind of scenarios, but as you are a service provider, I believe that it is more important than anything else, just to put yourself in his or her shoes. And as we mentioned earlier, that we have, after the entire university was completed, of course, we submitted a final report. In one section of the final report, we pick out there was a section called the issues. So 9 issues were actually brought out. We'll go with that a little bit quickly, but just tell you that what kind of a difficulty we are actually experiencing while we are running the NPC during those days back 2 years ago. Number one, the internet service. Yes, I mentioned that a bit earlier that we are having difficult time with that, and just just remember what I was saying, that put yourself in his or her shoes. That if you were a media member and you go to cover the game, as important as internet is to us right now, not just because of the job that you're doing, but because of the everyday life that you're going through, that's gotta be a very fundamental and very basic service for us to provide, not just only to ourselves, but to all the medias out there. But we were having a lot of issues with the internet, and a lot of times, as you may read here, even the higher management officers, they were actually forced to use our own mobile phone to get the internet services. So that's one of the things that's been addressed over and over again, but still, until the very end of the university, we were able to try to get it a bit stable, but we still couldn't get a very, very smooth running on the internet service. So that has to be put as a number one issue for the MPC service in the final review of the media services. And number two, the shuttle service, actually, I just mentioned it a little bit earlier. And that's one of the biggest issues of the media service. The bus did not run on time. The bus did not stop at a designated point. The drop-off point and the pickup point are not the same. And venue staff has limited knowledge of media shuttle information, and the bus driver was not familiar with the routes and such. So when these things are ever occurring every day, it is creating a very painful experiences, not just for the press themselves, but also for us, the staff. As we're trying to, as I was saying, that you're trying to put yourself in his or her shoes. Imagine what it's going to be like for you if you're a media member and you spend most of your time trying to get on the bus, or you spend most of the time getting stuck on the street, where you come here to try to cover a sporting tournament. That's going to be some of the things that's really bothering all the people. And number three will be the official website. Well, it wasn't running that smoothly actually in the very beginning of the tournament, but we were able to fix that. And the reason that I brought it out is that I mentioned earlier that we need to provide a lot of information, and the information has to be clear, correct, and simple. And in the very beginning of the tournament, that is something that we're just trying to achieve in those days. And number four, well, that is the MPC Daily Press Conference, because that is more of like an internal thing, because, well, we are having the press conference every morning around 10 o'clock, and we need to decide to make sure that what kind of subject it will be the day before. But sometimes it is very hard. I believe that has everything to do with the coordination or the connection and the relationship between the different departments. And that is something that we'll put in the report to try to bring out that how that kind of uncertainty actually affect us as we are the one who's trying to try to execute the daily presser. And number five will be the tournament information communication. That is actually one of the most important things. In all the kind of tournaments, there will be a system that will be carrying all the tournament-related information. For example, the minutes of the record and the result and everything like that. I believe that if we are running a little bit if we were running a little bit of trouble with the website, we probably will be running into trouble with their tournament information communication as well. But however, we were told that that's a different system, and it was carried out. It was provided by not the website team, but another team. So as the press people come to us to tell us that the thing is not there and the thing is not correct, we feel very bad about that, because we need to have the press people to come to tell us something is wrong on our system. So we have to put that in the report as well. And we have a little photo bib thing. That wasn't a huge thing, but it was a very, in a way, I wouldn't say funny, but something that could be done much better from the beginning of the tournament. But we were able to fix it. But that's also one of the lessons that we need to learn from that. Another big issue is the photo zone and the medal ceremony photo arrangement. That is something that actually give the photographers a lot of hard time as well, because I believe that in the university there is a venue manager who usually is not a media-related person, or who usually does not know how media works in his previous working experiences. So that actually created a lot of not just toughness, but also sometimes conflict between the venue staff and the photographers. They were not able to get to the right position for them to take the right picture, especially in some of the venues. There was no medal ceremony photo position designated, so it was giving the photographer a lot of hard time as well. So we put it in the report, and the official information is probably the same as the one we were talking about as we were experiencing the difficulties with the official website, and also some of the tournament information. So that's also part of the things that I put in the report. And one of the interesting is the broadcasting footage. We have IBC, of course, International Broadcasting Center. We also have MPC, which is us, the main press center. Ideally speaking, all the media who needs the broadcasting footage should go to IBC. But at the end of the day, all the media, especially television media here in Taiwan, and not just the Taiwanese media, but also the foreign media who have offices here in Taiwan, all came to MPC to try to get the footage. So it was creating a lot of chaos, and as it was not expected or designed as the capability of the MPC from the very beginning. So that was one of the things that actually bothers us a lot. So among those 9 issues, it is very clear that we can divide those two to one is the hardware issues, and the other one is software issues. A lot of things that can be done earlier and with a better hardware performances can be solved, and it will not be necessary to become a problem. So for these two things, for the hardware and the software, I believe that if you can beef up your planning quality, then you can avoid a lot of hardware issues. And if you do have your service strength to be brought up a level or even 2, I believe a lot of software issues can be avoided. So that is also the experiences that we have from working in the MPC of the 2017 Taipei Summer University. It just tells you the idea that as a media service provider, how do you run the sports marketing to the media people as they are your targeted audiences. In the previous 2 sections, we talk about how to run the sports marketing as a hosting organizations, also as a media service provider. In the final section of the episode, we would like to talk a little bit about sports marketing as a broadcaster. That it actually is one of a very unique experience for me this season, as I just started the English broadcast for the CPBL, the Chinese Professional Baseball League. That's the first time in the CPBL's 31-year history. And I would also like to share my experience with all of you out there, as that is something new and something interesting as well. Well, the background for that is that, of course, everything is because of the COVID-19 that turned our lives upside down, and that is probably one of the main reasons that I'm here, videotaping this episode to you guys instead of presenting myself in front of every one of you. And because of that, CPBL actually delayed its season opening twice, and it went from in the middle of the March until the end of the March, and then finally the season was able to open in the earlier part of April. And that made CBBO become the first professional baseball league in the world this year to open their series. Of course, it's behind the closed doors as back in April 11th, the pandemic was still going on, and we really need to take precautions on that. So the league opened its season behind the closed doors. And also, that's the first in the world. So CBBO, and actually Taiwan has been setting a lot of world records this season because of the COVID-19. And because we have a very solid achievement on the pandemic prevention, we were able to open the season and to try to bring sort of the normalcy back to the general public for our lives. And the English broadcast was something that's really new this season for CBBO, as this is the only season, or the first season, and probably will be the only season that this kind of service is provided for the fans out there. And the person, actually the television who took the initiative was the 11 Sports Taiwan, as they have the broadcasting rights of the Lions and the Monkeys. And the general managing director, Simon Kang, thought that it would be a great idea for Taiwan to show their baseball to the world. And the most important thing would be actually to have an English broadcast over to the feed of the footage of the games. So then we started back from the first game of the season, and we have our games running on the social media, which is Twitter, and for Twitter and for the Twitter Sports to make our games available for the international viewers. And we were able to generate 5 million views for the first 5 games. It was a very encouraging result for us, as we were able to attract so many fans internationally, as we never really expected that we were able to get such attention from everybody out there in the world. And of course, that's another first in the CBBO history, as everything this year, well, all because of the COVID-19, that we are really experiencing a lot of ups and downs, and that will be seen as one of the upper side of of our experience. And when we were talking about marketing strategy a little bit earlier, we talked about the audience, and we talked about your approach and how you engage with the audience. So we'll do this again here by taking a look at the audience part. So for the English broadcast, who is your audience? We have actually, well, when the game is running on the social media, it has a very good advantage for us to see where all of you out there are watching from. So actually, this is the number from the first 2 weeks. We have roughly 60% of the viewers from America, mostly from the USA, and another 15% in Asia, and another 25% from Europe. I do actually receive the feedback from fans in Italy and from Germany. So I believe that one of the reasons we have fewer viewers in Asia is that, well, number one, Twitter is not that popular here in Taiwan right now. And at the same time, most of the viewers here in Taiwan, they are able to watch our games on TV. Some of the, basically right now, all the TV stations have the dual language system. So they're able to watch the English broadcast on TV as well. And that's the audience there. So the most concentrated audience here are from America. So how do you engage? How do you engage your audience after you are able to recognize where your audience are from? When you speak a language, here, I'm not saying language is the English language, but the baseball language, that's what I'm talking about. As the largest audience from your broadcast is from the States or from America, then you do have to speak the language, not just the English language, but also how the American viewers are watching baseball, to use the language they are very familiar with, as they were watching the Major League Baseball before. So, well, I had the experience of broadcasting Major League Baseball here in Taiwan, but it was in Mandarin when I was with where I'm still with the Fox Sports Taiwan. So I do have the idea, I do have the understanding on how the baseball language is being used when it comes to broadcasting. So they went for my advantage of that. And also when you're broadcasting about the game, try to make the events or the performance relevant to the viewer's experience. For example, as we are saying that we have the most viewers from the States, then what is the most familiar experience for them as far as baseball is concerned? Of course, it's Major League Baseball. And of course, when we are trying to try to engage with fans in Europe, for example, we have some players here who played in Taiwan before from Netherlands. We have maybe a few from other countries. We also have some from Japan, or we have some from different countries. So that is where you make all these events relevant to them, for them to try to have a little bit more interest than from the beginning. So the try to make these related experiences matters are one of the most important things as well while you're doing the English broadcast. And of course, the current events, when I'm talking about current events, not the current events here in Taiwan, but the current events over there, for example, in the States, or when you're trying to get your audience back in Europe, then the current events over there in Europe. And of course, taking the examples from the U.S. audience, it'll be the easiest one, as they are the largest viewing population out there. So the current events for the American viewers will be what? The Major League Baseball not starting the season yet, or what has happened in the past season for the Major League Baseball. So those are the ones that you're trying to bring to the games in your broadcast to try to make your viewers to feel more related and to feel more relevant as you are trying to broadcast your game. And of course, after you do those kind of things, you just have to remember to bring everything back to the games that we are actually broadcasting right now, which is CPBL. So you have those English language, baseball language, all the Major League Baseball related experiences and things like that, and the current events. You bring those things, you talk about those things to get the attention from your viewers out there, but you do remember to bring those things back at the end of the inning or the sentence or everything. Try to bring back to what we are here to provide you with the CPBL here. And of course, how do you engage with the audiences? Part two is that you talk about, as we mentioned, that you bring the things back from those things that you were talking about in the earlier part. So you talk about the differences between there and here. On the cultural side, on the baseball side, on the general side. So in that way, this sports marketing thing is actually becoming a Taiwan marketing thing that you are trying to bring the information for your viewers out there on who we are, what we do, and what we were, those kind of things here. Baseball has become a platform for the viewers out there in different countries, and for them to understand more things about Taiwan, to learn more about the Taiwanese baseball, to learn more about Taiwanese culture, to learn more about Taiwanese, well, I say food and things like that. And that is also part of the important thing you can do throughout the sports marketing, is to bring your culture to them and to make those kind of things interesting for them. So of course, you do a lot of introduction and do a lot of promotion for your league, for your maybe for your city, as some of the English broadcasting was sponsored by the city, or they received some funding from the city. So you do the introduction of the city, you do the introduction and promotion for the cities, and that is all good, that you're just trying to bring everything here and to sell it to the people out there who's watching your game. So it is also very important that the next thing I'm talking about is what is the message you're sending. You're sending, as we were mentioning earlier, you're sending about us in many, many different ways. So again, I will be saying that the broadcasting, or the English broadcasting, has become a platform for the international viewers to understand or to know or to learn about us. A very, very good way of doing that. So in the past, I say 2 months or so, we have actually broadcasted, well, I don't remember, like maybe 50 games already in English. And there are a lot of things that we have achieved by being able to do so this season. But during the process of that, we also saw a lot of things that we could have done more, but in a way we sort of like failed to do so. And I would like to also to take this opportunity to share those thoughts with you guys. Well, first of all, on the good side, what we have achieved is that we were able to, by having this platform of English broadcast, we were able to promote CPBL to the world. Well, CPBL as a league, it was very, very known to begin with among the baseball industry people in the world. As we mentioned in the first section of our episode here today, that the people in the baseball industry, the MLB people knows about CPBL, MPB people knows CPBL, KBL people knows about CPBL, of course CBA, and of course CEB and WBSC, of course, they do know a lot of things about CPBL, as we are the baseball league here in Taiwan. But for the general public out there, that's not the case. So by having the games broadcasted in English, we were able to promote CPBL to the world, especially to those general publics out there, for them to know that, well, as a quote from one of the famous website hosts, as the biggest lead that people don't know. So we were able to do so by, we were able to promote CPBL to the world by having the English broadcasting. We were also able to tell the world what kind of a strong achievement of the pandemic prevention they were able to have. Because for every game that is on the air, and for every game they are watching right now, that shows the solid achievement of the pandemic prevention. Because without the achievement that we have, there will be no baseball shown here. Not to mention that we have a lot of fans in the stands nowadays. And also, by having the English broadcasting, we also were able to promote baseball and general culture here, just like what I mentioned earlier, that we're just trying to bring Taiwan to everybody out there in many different aspects. And we were able to do so through the English broadcasting. And of course, at the end of that, tourism is also important for the Taiwanese economy, so we were able to promote that, because especially when we were doing the broadcasting, we always bring a lot of the elements of tourism into our games. For example, we can just by introducing our audience that a certain player is from a certain country or a certain county or city, we will be able to talking about how beautiful his hometown is and how you should visit the place when you come to Taiwan, things like that. And that's just one of the things that we are trying to bring out to the world, as we are trying to use the platform of the English broadcast to do more things for us. But while we have achieved those, there are something that we could have done more, but in a way we kind of failed to do so. Well, we were able to, or I would say that we should be able to seek for greater exposure. For now, all the games are on Twitter. Yeah, and it's good that for everybody who has a Twitter account out there, especially in the States or in Europe, they will be able to watch our games. But wouldn't it be better for us to be on TV or on a bigger streaming platform? Yeah, we heard that there were cases, trying to reach between the CPBL, the league, and the YouTube, but we haven't seen it yet. And we also do know that right now the Korean baseball is on ESPN in the States, and there will be a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity for the Korea right now, but it is certainly not a great opportunity that we were able to seize while we are not having any working relationship with the ESPN to put our games on the TV for the viewers over there in the States. And over the 2 months, we should have a better presentation of CPBL and also to have an advanced promotion of CPBL. But however, those kind of things, the more presentation or more the promotion has to be done by the league, because they are the only one who has the power to organize everything all together along with the 4 teams or even 5 teams. But we're not seeing that, and that's really a pity as well. And also, speaking of the efficiency, we saw how quickly the clubs were able to come to react after, for example, the Football Guardians, after they saw how the 11 Sports Taiwan were able to broadcast the games in English, they jumped on to the really, really quick. And they are actually the second club to start with the English broadcast as well. So the club actually show how efficient they are and show how fast they can be, while in other part of the baseball here in Taiwan was a little bit slow, and they actually caused us more opportunity to seek greater exposure for better presentation for CBBO and for advanced promotion for CBBO as well. It's quite a pity. So we've done something good, we've done something last as we are learning from that. But nonetheless, it is one of the greatest seasons for CBBO to be able to see by so many viewers out there. I was mentioned that I do remember that in the first 5 games we have generated 5 million views, and in the second week of those English broadcasts, I believe 7 million views were achieved. So nonetheless, it's a very good numbers, and also it's a very good results that we're enjoying right now, and I hope that we'll be able to learn more from that as well. So while the roles maybe vary as we're coming to the end of the episode, well, sports marketing through events, we're talking about you can be an event organizer, the hosting organizer, you can be a media service provider, and you can be also part of the broadcasting arm, just like what I was doing as the broadcaster and the play-by-play guy. So, but I believe while the roles maybe vary, the principles are probably the same. As you should know your audience, and it's the number one thing that you definitely have to do. It doesn't matter if you're in a sports marketing or not. In all kind of marketing, so you do need to know your audience and put yourself in their shoes to try to understand what would, if you're in their shoes, if you're the hosting organization, if you are the audience, you're the general public, you're the baseball fans, you're the media, try to put yourself in their shoes, that what you would like to receive as as a general fan, or as a general public, or as a baseball fan, or as a media. So once you can put yourself in their shoes, then you will come up with a strategy to approach them and to engage them and to carry out your sporting marketing results. So that is the things and experiences that I would like to share with you, all of you out there today in the episode that we talk about how to run a sports marketing as a hosting organization. We talk about how to do that as a media service provider, and also in the previous, in the current section, we talk about how to do so as a broadcasting arm. So at this time, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you everybody for listening out there and to watching this episode with me. And it's been my pleasure to have the opportunity and have the privilege to share my experiences with you. And I hope these experiences will be helpful for all of you guys out there, as we may see each other again in the future, face to face, in another segment of the ISAC. Thank you very much. And until then, so long. Goodbye.